Okay. And I think we are live. Let's see how many of you are out there. All right, let's see. Bear with me one moment, as always. Just making sure everything is working, that we are okay. Let's see. All right. It's working. We are okay. Oh, there we go. I heard myself. Just making sure. Hey, what is up, everyone? How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Saw Ultraman anime trailer on Netflix. Yeah, I know that that's going to be coming out soon as well. The Ultraman series that's based on the manga, so that's going to be interesting. So, hey, what is up, Paul Beam? What is up, Adam Watkins? Okay, so like the title of this live stream says, so I finally got a chance to watch Kamen Rider Zi-O. And I just wanted to give my first impressions on it. I saw only the first 2 episodes. And I could kind of more or less get an idea of where it's going to be going just from watching the initial couple episodes. So let me see. Gokai change grid. Will Henshin Time 11 have more than one Sentai in it? I don't know yet, but we'll try to see. Hey, what's up, Orville? How's it going? I don't know if I might be covering more than one, but we'll see. We'll see if I get around to that. I was thinking about potentially covering 2 Super Sentai shows, but we'll just have to wait and see how the script goes. So let me move this a little bit more out of the way because it's kind of in the way right there. So, but yeah, so Kamen Rider Zi-O, in a lot of ways, it's weird because it does remind me a lot of. It reminds me quite a bit of not only Kamen Rider Decade, but also a little bit. It has some elements in it that really remind me of Kamen Rider. Den-O, which is not a bad thing. I mean, with the whole time traveling aspect. Although, of course, in Den-O, if you guys remember, with Den-O, what they did was with Den-O, they did this whole kind of quantum leap thing with Den-O, where he would go back and kind of change time for the better. So with this, it's kind of them just going back in time to really, at least initially in the first couple episodes I saw, just going. I don't know if that's going to be the model with the episodes going forward. I'm sure most of you know better because you have seen further ahead of me. But it's okay. I know that a lot of people weren't really feeling it at first. There was a lot of people that felt that it gave off that vibe. Hey, what's going on, Kamen Rider Den-O? Funny, we were just talking about you. I know it gives off a lot of the vibes that Decade had a little bit with the whole him kind of being this overlord, this destroyer in a sense in the future. Definitely feels like a callback to Decade because of that. But I don't know. I didn't have a problem with Decade, so I have no problem with that aspect. And the thing is, what I want to know is if it's really going to be him as the Overlord of the future, if it's actually somebody else, because that's what we don't know, if that's really going to be him or not. How's my Thanksgiving was good, man. Thanks for asking. Bandai isn't releasing Psycho Yellow and Pink. Well, I mean, they don't really have time to. I mean, what Bandai has out there right now is probably what you're going to see. With the Legacy Collection, what's left of the Legacy Collection, and, Ninja Steel and a couple other things like that, and whatever else they got to finish up with Ninja Steel, that's probably all you're going to see from now until the beginning of next year, until Hasbro finally starts taking over the manufacturing of the toys. So I called Bandai of America yesterday, and someone told me that they already finished making Psycho Yellow and Pink. That's interesting. I mean, I guess we'll see. Who do you think would win, a fight, Decade or Zi-O? Man, I think Zi-O, from the way they're building them up. I'm only 2 episodes in, but I think Zi-O, because you got to think that if the whole idea is that Zi-O is going to be collecting these powers from previous writers, you got to think. I mean, he's gonna have access to way more powers than Kamen Rider Decade. Decade only has the power of really 9 other writers outside of himself, I believe, if I remember that correctly. It could be 8. I'd have to go back and see. I believe no, it could be 8 other writers, 9 including himself, I believe. But yeah, you gotta think it's got to be Zi-O. Although I'm sure Decade could still give him a run for his money. I mean, especially considering Decade does have access to Kuga's power, which I believe Kuga is probably the most powerful of all the Heisei era writers, in my opinion. Have you heard about the Supersonic Rangers 5-man stuff from Boom? No, I actually have not heard anything at all about that. It's going to be very interesting. Awesome. Glad you received the comic book, Paul. Have you seen SSS? I haven't seen SSS Gridman yet. Eddie Duggan, what's up? Do you think the fans should watch Go Busters before Beast Morphers? No, I don't think it's necessary watching, because in essence they are 2 different shows. I mean, it's always fun to watch a Super Sentai show and then watch how they're going to adapt it, or vice versa. I mean, obviously most of us at least saw Mighty Morphin Power Rangers before we saw Jew Rangers, so it was pretty cool to go back and watch Jew Rangers and see how much they had taken out of Mighty Morphin. So I guess you could kind of do the same if you want to watch Go Busters first. Go Busters is a very good series, so you could do that and then watch and see how differently they do it. Decade could become Zi-O and have those awesome powers if he gets the cards plus of the writers. That's true. Yeah, you're not wrong, Gokai Changewood. That depends on if he's gotten those cards or not. So, which they never said that he was limited. I guess one could say the Decade was never limited to just getting the writers up to his point. They could add that into the mythos. That's the one good thing about Decade, is because Decade could travel essentially across the multiverse. I guess there is that possibility for him to acquire power as well. So, yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. You just wouldn't see it on television. Yeah. Heard about the Beast X Morpher. Yep. Yeah. For those of you, yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit too. Yeah. The list of toys was released for Power Rangers and for the Legacy, or I should say the Lightning Collection. Actually, put that wrong here in the title. Let me change that right now. But yeah, they actually in the Lightning Collection, they've already announced some of the ones that they'll be releasing, and there's some of those look pretty. They look all right. I like what they're doing. I like the fact that they're not necessarily going in order. I think that's something that'll serve to help them in the long run, honestly. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. But it's not a yeah, I don't see that as being a bad thing. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. All right, let's see. What is about stuff with Galaxy Rangers? I don't think that would have been as catchy. I mean, if they had decided to stick with Galaxy Rangers instead of calling it Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, even though Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is a very long title, there's something catchy about it. So, do you like him as a writer because the gimmick is cool? Yeah, I mean, the card gimmick was something that, cards as a gimmick always seems to be very popular in Japanese shows, whether it be anime shows or tokusatsu shows. So, I mean, I think it worked for a decade. Power Rangers visual history book is on my Christmas list. I'm also trying to get a writer belt on eBay for my writer collection. Awesome. Which belt are you trying to get? Yeah, but the Power Rangers visual history book, it's a very nice book. It's a very nice book. You should definitely try to get it off Amazon if you can get it for about $30 or so. One today I tried to watch Zi-O episode 12, but everywhere it was wrong. Oh, Kamen Rider Zi-O, thank you for the donation. Appreciate that. The Supersonic Rangers will appear in the MMPR Year 2 Deluxe Edition. Interesting. And thank you for that donation. Appreciate that. That always helps a lot. That's going to be interesting. Year 2 Deluxe Edition. Okay, so that is in the comic books, I'm assuming, is what you're saying, right? Kamen Rider Zi-O? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because the thing is with all the mythos that they're adding to the comic books. I mean, obviously the possibilities are endless now. What's going to be interesting to see if I don't think that Hasbro is going to implement anything from the comic books to the shows. They may, but I think it'll still be it's their own separate continuities for the time being. 13 to 14 is based on double. Okay. Yeah, I just the one I watched was like, hey, what's up, Master Rider Blue? The one I watched, I only watched the first 2 episodes, but I'm liking it so far. I think it's okay. I mean, it's not anything that's it's not blowing my socks off or anything like that. I know a lot of people had gripes with it, but I think now it's starting to pick up for people. I've heard people's opinions change on it. They were saying that they didn't initially like it too much, but now they're starting to dig it a little bit more. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it so far. I think I could probably see a little bit, at least within the initial couple episodes, why people might have not liked it, but I think it's okay. How do you feel about the Lightning Collection? Lightning Collection is basically it's Hasbro's response to the Legacy Collection. It's their version of the Legacy Collection. So what I like about it so far, the Lightning Collection, is that they're not going just MMPR and then deciding to do it season by season. It looks like they're doing a little bit from what I think what their formula is going to be for the releases of Lightning Collection stuff is they're going to take stuff from the pre-Disney era Saban, Disney era, and then post Disney era Saban, Neo Saban era. They're going to be taking stuff. They're going to be taking maybe 1 or 2 from each of those eras, maybe 2 or 3 from each of those eras, and then placing them, and making each wave is going to have characters from different eras. I think is how they're going to go about it. That's what it seems like from initially seeing that list, because we saw Shadow Ranger on there, which is obviously SPD. That's Disney era. We saw Magna Defender. That's pre-Disney Saban era, and then we had stuff on there from Neo Saban. We had Dino Charge. We also had MMPR, which is of course pre-Disney era Saban. So it looks like they're really trying to just take a little bit from each era and release them in each wave. So the first 2 is like build, right? Yeah, the first 2 is build in Kamen Rider Zi-O. I'm thinking of saving up for the Jiku Driver and Decade Rider Watch and Rider Hey Saber bundle. Nice. Very nice. Awesome, man. Let me know when you get that, man. I thought it was strange part, but now I love it. Yeah. It's definitely, like I said, it definitely gives off a little bit of that Decade vibe. I can see where people's gripes were with that, where they might have looked at it and said, oh, man, this is just going to be a Decade rehash. And in a sense, it does kind of feel like that, at least initially, because remember, with Decade, it was the whole Destroyer of Worlds thing. So it made it seem like, no matter what, Decade was going to turn out to be a bad guy. It kind of starts off, this one kind of starts off like that too. Kamen Rider Zi-O starts off with that feeling of he's going to turn out to be something bad. But the thing is, what I think is interesting, I think they might throw a curveball here, because I think they might make you think that it's the same Zi-O, but I think it might be a completely different Zi-O. The Omai, or is it Omai Zi-O? I think that's going to be somebody completely different. Or if it is the same kid, I think it's going to be maybe like a corrupted version of him or something like that, kind of like how they did in the Flash with Savitar. I think they could do something like that with Kamen Rider Zi-O. Did you see Lupin Rangers Power Rangers crossover trailer? No, I haven't seen that, but definitely try to check that out. Adam Watkins, the hype is real. Yep, the hype is real. Might take a year or 2 to complete teams. Gokai change. Okay, Decade was the same Decade. Yeah, well, Decade all happened. Yeah, Decade. What it was with Decade is that Decade didn't happen across time, so to speak. It happened all within one continuous timeline, but he was traveling to different alternate universes, different multiverses. Hey, what's up, Gora? How you doing? Thanks for joining the stream. But remember, Decade was traveling across different worlds, so to speak, even if he wasn't traveling through time. So again, that's something that I liked about Decade, and I think that's something that gave Decade several different possibilities that they could have. That really gives them a lot of longevity, I think, within the world of Kamen Rider. I'm sad today because Steven Hillenberg died, but I'm off top. I don't know who that is, but if it was somebody that you knew, sorry for your loss. Yeah, from what I saw the first episode, I believe, Geis or Gaze, I think is his name has the ghost watch, yeah. Oh, the creator of SpongeBob. Oh, okay, SpongeBob SquarePants. Yeah, I see that SpongeBob SquarePants was kind of after my time, so I never really watched it. So I'm not familiar with that person. That's too bad. I mean, was he sick? Was he very old? I mean, what's the deal? Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, but we'll go probably about a good hour tonight. So we'll wrap this up like around 9:05, 9:04. But yeah, just feel free to ask any questions here. Of course, talk amongst the chat as well. But yeah. So what do you guys think of the announcement, the list of toys that they've announced for Beast Morphers and for the Lightning Collection? Is there anything you guys want to see in Wave 2? Oh, he died of ALS. Ooh, that's terrible. Yeah, ALS is pretty. I believe that's what Stephen Hawking's had. He had ALS, I believe. That's too bad. That's a horrible disease. Shadow Ranger. Well, Shadow Ranger is already being announced for Lightning Collection, so that's going to be cool. I'm really curious to see if they're doing. I believe those are going to be 6-inch figures. The Lightning Collection, I'm pretty sure, is going to be 6-inch figures. What I'm interested to see if it's just certain figures that they're going to do without the helmet, or if they're going to do that with a lot of the Lightning Collection figures. If they're going to have like an extra head, without the helmet on. Also see Quantum Ranger in Wave 2. Yeah, Quantum Ranger, amazing. That'd be fantastic to have Quantum Ranger. I wouldn't mind seeing a Silver Ranger from Power Rangers Power Rangers in Space, because I mean, when they released the action heroes back for Power Rangers Super Mega Force, that's one of the ones that I was surprised that they didn't release. Was the Silver Ranger from Power Rangers in Space, but they went ahead and released the Omega Ranger from Power Rangers SPD. If the wave one passes, see if. Well, I guess you just got to wait and see what they look like. I mean, I'm thinking, like I said, I want to see if they're going to do a thing where just if it's just going to be specific figures that are not going to have the helmet, or if they're going to do that with several of them. If they have more than one head that you could replace, or maybe those will be like variant versions of the figures. I don't know, because Hasbro does do a lot of variant stuff. I mean, they did it. They've always done it with. Or they have been doing it with the Marvel Legends line. So, and before that, I mean, when Toy Biz had them, Toy Biz was doing pretty much the same thing. Bucky Cap molds, probably. Yeah, they're probably going to use some of the molds from some of the Marvel figures. So we'll have to wait and see when those come out. But yeah, so far, like I said, it's looking. They're looking to be pretty decent. I'm very much looking forward to see how Hasbro treats making the figures. Do you see the Ultraman anime trailer? I have not seen it yet, but I'll have to watch it. Even though Beast Morphers will premiere next year, Blaze has already become my favorite character. Which one is Blaze? Which one's going to be Blaze in that? You would probably have to say the Japanese character name in Go Busters for me to know. Because I haven't looked too much into Beast Morphers. Just a few things here and there. And I've seen the trailer, but that's about it. Did you hear about the Beast Morphers and Henry Danger crossover? No. What is Henry Danger? Never heard of Henry Danger. Is that another show that Hasbro is making? Or hold on, let me look that up. Or is that some kind of cartoon? Oh, it's a live action show. Okay. Oh, it's one on Nickelodeon, I guess. Oh, it's a comedy series. Oh my. Yeah, I'm looking here. Henry Dangerous is a comedy show on Nickelodeon. It's been on since 2014. Wow, the show's been on for a little bit. Okay, so it looks like I'm looking to see here. Hold on. Look at this over here real quick. Wow. So this show's been on for a bit. So he's a sidekick to a superhero. Wow. I don't know about this. I don't think, man, I don't think this is a good idea. I mean, this is kind of, this is the stuff that makes you scratch your head. Like you hope that they won't do this, just because it's not going to help Power Rangers. It's not really going to help this other show. I mean, this show seems to be well established, and it's been on for 4 or 5 years at this point. 4 years at this point, and it's why does there need to be a crossover? Really, it's only because they're both on the same network. So, and because they can. Hopefully, that doesn't happen. I mean, I don't see any point to that. So hopefully that's just a rumor. Hopefully that's just a rumor, and that remains a rumor, because I don't see any benefit at all from them doing a crossover with this particular show. This show is obviously a comedy-based show, so it could happen. It could happen if they decided to order up an episode like that, Nickelodeon, and they could ask Hasbro to do that. I mean, they won't. I mean, it's much easier to do crossovers when you already own both the properties. Makes it much easier to film, because usually they're filmed around the same places. That's why the Ninja Turtles crossover happened with Power Rangers in Space back then, because around that time, Saban had the license for Power Rangers, or for the live action Ninja Turtle show. So that's why that happened, and because they were probably filming in the same lot, so in the same area, so they were able to do that crossover. So yeah, they would have to get together with whoever, they would have to get together with Nickelodeon to make something like that. But yeah. Oh, Blaze is enter. Okay, cool. But yeah, I don't see that happening. That'd be hilarious though. I mean, if they decided they wanted to do a crossover with this, it would basically be the Black Sheep episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Just kind of, I can't say that episode is the Black Sheep episode of Power Rangers in Space, but it was definitely one of the sillier ones that Power Rangers in Space had, was when they crossed over with the Ninja Turtles. I'm sure that was every fan of both of those franchises' dreams, though. So let's see here. So what are you guys looking forward to the most here in Power Rangers Beast Morphers? I'm really curious about the Morphin Brace. Any thoughts on Noam Kanyel returning to compose? There seems to be a divide there with people. Some people are not happy about him coming back to compose a song, but I mean, look, it's what the guy does for a living. The guy's been doing that since he was a kid. He's been doing themes for shows since he was a kid, and he really loves doing themes for TV shows, whether they be cartoon shows, live action shows. He has a passion for it. And I mean, in a lot of ways, I mean, look, a lot of people didn't have a problem with his Dino Charge theme. When he came out with the theme for Dino Charge, I mean, it was different from Megaforce. and from Samurai, which is basically they cut and pasted more or less the same kind of riff and theme for those shows. So, you know, he added something at least somewhat different, but bring back Ron Wasserman. Well, I'm not sure that he's retired from music making. I think what it is that he didn't, from my understanding, is that he didn't part on the best of terms with I don't know if it was Disney or with Saban themselves, but he hasn't done any Power Rangers related music since then. I believe. I think Mystic Force. I think he had created a theme for them. I think that's where things kind of soured around that time. I don't know the whole story about that. I'll have to look into it a little bit more. Curious about the Super Beast Morphers thing that is rumored to be Geodra adaptation. Interesting. So they would be kind of pulling a page out of the Megaforce, Super Megaforce book. Okay. So I'm glad he's still working, but I expect better music for Beast Morphers. If not, I have no one to blame but myself. Why would you blame yourself for that? Why would you blame yourself for that? That's got nothing to do with you. Kamen Rider Zi-O. That's funny. I mean, to go back to what you're saying, Gokai Grid, that could be what they're doing. I mean, it would make sense. I mean, Geodra is a Beast series, so they could still call it Beast Morphers. So, I hope this is definitely the end of Neo Saban era and the start of a better era. Well, I believe that Power Rangers Beast Morphers is going to be called Saban's Power Rangers Beast Morphers, but I think it's the last one that's going to hold that title. That'll probably phase out after Beast Morphers, but I guess we'll see. I know that they're producing the show, I believe, in collaboration with Saban. I don't know if it was in collaboration, or I believe this might just be the first series that Saban will be consulting on. Hasbro back up the money truck. Have you seen the new Ultraman trailers? It's anime. BrolyCon, I haven't, but I'm gonna go probably check those out after we finish the live stream up here tonight. I just finished Go Power Rangers number 12. It was crazy. Love it. Nice. I'm glad you enjoyed it. For the most part, I do like the Go Power Rangers comic books better than the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic books. You know, they seem to be better paced, in my opinion. They're still kind of slow, at least the first couple that I've read, but the pacing seems a little bit better for those than the Mighty Morphin series. I sadly don't trust Chip Lin anymore. Oh no, you've lost your faith in Chip Lin. Well, I mean, look, the guy, none of these guys are perfect. They're gonna have their ups and their downs. I mean, I think for the most part, I think people have looked at Chip Lin and have pretty much unanimously agreed that he's done a better job than Jonathan Secor did. But I mean, I guess one could argue that as well, though, because I mean, Jonathan Secor, I think, did all right. He had his moments too, but I think towards the end he kind of slipped up a bit. Yeah, I found out about the actual Ultraman and Kamen Rider crossover in the 90s. That was official, and about the Showa era of each series. It's good stuff. I think Saban sold the show only if they call the show Saban Power Rangers, due to him getting a crazy smart move if he does keep his name with the show. Well, I would think that if he does that, BrolyCon, that they have to pay him. Well, I know they're going to have him on as a consultant. So I don't know if that was part of the deal. I mean, or if he has some kind of royalties deal with them outside of just consulting. I mean, look, the dude is a shrewd businessman. So I'm pretty sure that he figured out a way to still potentially make money off of the series if he's able to. So I'm sure he's got some kind of sweet deal with them that'll still line his pockets long after he has nothing at all to do with the show. At all. You know, so because I could see it being maybe like a George Lucas situation where they'll have him on as consultant until the point where they tell him, all right, I think you've done enough consultation. I think we got it from here. So PMC was the final nail with his comments. What comments were those? Now you've piqued my interest there, Emmanuel. What comments were those that Chip Lin made at PMC? Because I didn't go to PMC this year, so I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to, but now you've piqued my interest. No, you're good, Ram Jam. You're good. Kamen Rider. I just didn't watch it, but I guess it wasn't. But how could Kamen Rider stand a chance against the Ultramans? Who are, yeah, they're jumbo sized. Who knows? I mean, I think the only one that could hang would be Kamen Rider J, because Kamen Rider J, he grows jumbo size, so he could probably fight Ultraman on equal footing there. I mean, no pun intended. I mean, he's about as big as Ultraman when he grows jumbo size. So he was on a panel. Seasons like Time Force and his space were too dark for kids. No, yeah. I if he said that, I definitely disagree with him saying that, because In Space and Time Force are some of the best seasons in the entire series. I mean, that's unanimous. I mean, people that even grew up watching those shows agree that those are some of the best ones. I mean, In Space is one of the gold standards of as far as seasons go for Power Rangers. So, and Time Force is right up there too. I mean, as far as dark seasons go, I mean, I think at the very top, I think you got to go with either RPM or In Space, maybe RPM, and then probably In Space, and then maybe Time Force are probably the darkest seasons of all of them. So, yeah, couldn't disagree more. Couldn't disagree more with that if Chip Lin did in fact say that. Someone started with making 80s cartoons music and kept the got him paid. Yeah, I know about that. Every time. Yep. He was very smart about what he did is that he kept the rights to all the music so that he would get paid royalties on them whenever they decided they wanted to use his music. They basically had to license the music from him, more or less, which was a genius move. He just wanted his deal was that he would go ahead and make music for these shows for free, and the only thing he asked was that he would keep the he's like, hey, look, I'll make this theme for you for free that you could use in your show, but I'm gonna keep the licenses for all these songs that we're creating, and anytime they're used, outside of that, I'm gonna get paid for them. So, I'm gonna use them however way I see fit to make money off of. So, which is smart, genius move. Nobody was doing that at the time either. That's something that he kind of, he saw an avenue for revenue and he took it. Could just fuse with J and become mega sized. That would be cool. See, that's something that they need to implement, like with one of these writers. That maybe in the future, maybe for the next anniversary season, they could have a writer that could access, or maybe in 5 years from now, they could have another writer, or 10 years, they could have another writer that could access previous writers' powers of both Heisei and Showa. That would be super broken, though. I lost faith in Power Rangers. Oh, Deca Master fan, why? Why? What happened? Was that Chip Lin that worked on In Space? You're probably right. I can't remember if it was him or Zakor, but you might be right. I know he worked on a lot of the previous pre-Disney era seasons, so you're probably right about that. You're probably right about that. That's unfortunate that he would say that, considering that Power Rangers in Space was, I mean, that's crazy that he would say that, considering In Space is what saved the franchise. All right, let me see. I wouldn't mind getting the Lightning Collection. Yeah, Lightning Collection is looking pretty decent. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the other waves look like in the future, though. But still, we could do Kamen Rider or again 50th anniversary in only 2 years. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see it. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do for the anniversary season of Kamen Rider. Because you would think they would have done something like Zi-O for the anniversary season. Have a writer that could access the previous Rider's powers. But I guess it really falls more in line with the anniversary of Decade, because 2018, 2000, 2009. So. Power Rangers in Space is my all-time Power Rangers season. Yeah, In Space, Power Rangers in Space was fantastic. One of my favorite seasons of all time. I wonder if you guys will. Psycho Paint got the Cyber Sword. Psycho Ray got the Cyber Sword. PR Space, yeah. PR in Space, Power Rangers in Space. Yeah, great season. Man, the costumes were like so, but it was so good. I mean, they did so many things. They took so many chances with that season. It all paid off. Everything that all the chances that they decided to take with Power Rangers in Space really paid off. We saw that, it was reflected in the toy sales. It was reflected in the ratings, everything. I mean, everything was well worth it. They did a fantastic job within Space. And that's the thing. It's just like, it would suck to not see seasons like that again. If Hasbro's taking this over and they decide to just kind of follow the model that Saban Brands has been using for the last couple years since they got the franchise back, then the show is going to fail. The show is not going to do much for them. I'm hoping that just because they have Saban on for consulting, that they'll listen to him when it comes to certain things, but really decide to take chances with the show and kind of be a little bit more creative. Yeah. Well, I mean, it had to. All good things come to an end. Zordon wasn't going to be able to be there forever, so they needed to have other mentors. Ultraman Pops have quietly been released. I'll have to check this out. I watched RPM fully on Netflix. I loved it. Afterwards, most of the things from the Saban era immediately turned. Yeah, that's what happened to me too, because I was watching all the shows in order. So I think that's maybe I'm being a little bit harsh with Power Rangers Samurai because of that, because it's coming immediately after a season like RPM, which is really good. I mean, you see that. You see the Power Rangers RPM, it kind of set a bar, and to see Power Rangers Samurai just kind of go backwards, and it felt like it was really what's the word I want to say here? It felt like it was de-evolving, or there's a word for it. It escapes me right now, but it felt like they just took a huge step backwards after seeing something like RPM. I would think that, or I would have liked to think that maybe Saban and the people at Saban would have saw that and said, you know what, look, there's something good here. We need to get some of these writers, or we need to write the show a little bit differently. Look how this show went, and it was really good. I mean, it had good acting, it had good action. The story was dark, but it was still it still had stuff in it that was for kids. It was a good middle ground that adults and kids could enjoy just as much equally. But I want to, I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them continue down that path. Like I said, RPM set a new standard. In my opinion, it raised the bar, and they just kind of Saban Brands is kind of, they kind of fumbled it after that. Chip said that those seasons didn't have enough humor. They didn't need the humor, though. That's the thing. And honestly, seasons like RPM, I think it had enough humor. I love Ziggy. I thought Ziggy was funny. I thought he was great. What's his name? Milos Cawthorn, I think is the guy who played Ziggy. I think he did a fantastic job. Opinions on Decade Ride Watch. Interesting. Craven Spider, I'll have to wait and see how that. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing that. Think about getting the Genesis driver on eBay. Genesis driver. If you could get it at a relatively decent price, I would say pick it up. Because anything from that season, anything from Kamen Rider Gaim it's climbed up there a little bit, and I could see it as the further it gets away from when Gaim was released, unless they do a super best release of the belt, which as far as I know isn't happening anytime soon. If you could get it for a reasonable price, pick it up. Not but like when I was a kid, I was only exposed to like Henshin, toy review, and action vids of RPM on YouTube, as well as everything before Samurai, but I learned about Netflix and started watching. Nice. Do you think they'll do the Master Morpher? Yeah, I think they will. I think they absolutely will. I mean, to me, them putting it out there, I don't see why Hasbro wouldn't take advantage of that. I mean, with what Saban already did, they kind of laid the groundwork for that, and how much they heavily emphasized on it in that episode. It felt like a commercial for the Master Morpher for the anniversary episode. It felt like one big commercial for the Master Morpher. So I don't see why Hasbro would pass up an opportunity like that. After I finished watching old Saban era, Neo Saban era became way too cringy for me now. Yeah, I mean, I completely understand. I mean, old Saban era, I mean, there's some stuff in those initial seasons that is, but for the most part, old Saban era is probably better. Well, I'm not going to say probably, at least from what I've seen and heard, it is better than anything Neo Saban era. So at least Saban didn't re-air the original show with comic pop-ups like Disney. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that was like the remastered version of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I don't know why they did that, but yeah, I guess they felt that they needed to do that because supposedly they did that because they didn't know what to do with Samurai, according to Saban. Saban claims that, they just didn't know how to present Samurai, that Disney didn't know what they were doing, so that's why he was able to buy the series back for a fraction of the price. That's according to him. I remember after RPM, there were rumors Disney wanted to do an animated Ranger show, but it was a rumor before Saban announced they bought the show again. Yeah, it was just a rumor. I mean, Disney, that was actually way before Saban had repurchased the series. They thought about doing that initially, I think after it was either after Mystic Force or maybe Jungle Fury. It was one of those seasons. It was one of the in-between seasons, or maybe initially when they got a hold of the franchise. I can't remember. There was some point in time where in between one of the Disney seasons, they were strongly considering doing a computer animated series. There's like footage out there for like a preview of it that leaked, but they decided to just go ahead and continue to just make the show. Got to go. My phone's going dead. All right, Paul, thanks for joining the stream. See you on the next one, Paul. Take care. But yeah, they the Stone Canyon pilot script story sounds so much better than the PR Samurai story. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stuff. Man, Samurai, I got 6 episodes in before I had to stop watching it because it was just bad. It was just really, really bad. The jokes were super, super contrived. The acting is, man. And the thing is, it's not to say that those guys are necessarily bad actors. But then again, I haven't seen them on much anything else. But just the way things come off in Samurai, I mean, it was not good. It felt like a huge, huge, huge leap back. And that's really the reason why Samurai, to me at least, it just immediately turned me off. So it's unfortunate too, because it's a series that when you think about it, Samurais are cool and there's a lot of potential there, but it's interesting to me that Saban says, Disney didn't know what to do with it, but somehow I feel that if they, after seeing RPM, if they kept writing shows like that, I think they would have been just fine. Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with you on that point, Broly Khan. I think that would have been the perfect opportunity for there to be one. Absolutely. So, future PR should focus on character development to make sense of certain things, less comedy and some more focus on Zords in a few episodes. like in Wild Force. Yeah, I agree. Fire Drake Burst. Agree 100%. I mean, I think they think that kids will find the show boring if there's not contrived humor in it. But the problem is that look, kids these days, I think they'll be fine with a good enough story. You don't have to make everything funny all the time to keep their interest. I think that's a dated way of writing these shows that they need to. I mean, I personally, I don't think it's ever been something that's worked. I mean, I remember as a kid liking stuff that had really good stories to it. I mean, watching shows like Batman the Animated Series, which I'm not even the biggest Batman fan. I think Batman is overrated in my opinion, but I really like Batman the Animated Series. To me, that was just it was just great writing. Just great writing, and I really enjoyed it. Same thing with X-Men. But of course, the X-Men cartoon, the reason why it was so good is because they used a lot of Chris Claremont's story arcs in that show. But even the ones that they did, the ones aside from those, I mean, it was still a great show. Samurai Pink was in the lead to be the Red Ranger. I don't know who that is. And every character except Emily, and not because she was my childhood crush, but because she was a good character. I think that's the Yellow Ranger, I believe, right? I think you're referring to. Yeah, I think Beast Morphers, I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance that it'll be good. There's a chance that it'll be bad. I mean, it's one of those things that we have to wait and see once it airs. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way about Megaforce. A lot of people don't like Megaforce. Totally understand. National Six Rangers had their own theme music, right? Those were the days. I think who was the last one to have his own theme music? I think it was the Gold Ranger from Power Ranger Zi-O, right? I can't remember. I think that it might have been the Gold Ranger from Power Ranger Zi-O, though. 90s X-Men was so good. Watch. Yep. Exactly, BrolyCon. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, the X-Men, the 90s X-Men cartoon was fantastic. I mean, a lot of those cartoons around that time were they were really good. Yeah, Eric from Time Force. Yeah, the Quantum Ranger, who's fantastic. Dan Southworth. He's the one that played Eric, the Red Time Force, or not Red Time Force, but Quantum Ranger from Time Force. He's technically a Red Ranger though, not the Red Ranger, but a Red Ranger. Dun dun dun. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it just depends on how much of his influence. So are you hyped for Decade's role in Zi-O? Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that'll work. What I would love to see is, I think what everybody's hoping for with Zi-O is that Zi-O and Decade will fight. You know, because Decade's one of the most powerful Kamen Riders out there. So it'd be interesting to see them cross swords. Dan is back. Yep, he's back in Devil May Cry 5. I'm hyped. Kado is back. Yep. He's coming back. They have to. There's no way you could do Kamen Rider Zi-O without having Decade show up. You know, the actual actor that played Decade too. He seems to be on pretty good terms with Toei and doesn't mind returning to the role, it seems like. So I'm pretty sure they'll get the actor. I forget the actor's name that played Decade, but I'm pretty sure they'll get him back for the episode. So Ruben Langdon should have been an actual Power Ranger instead of a stunt double for the series. Well, I mean, I guess they figured that that's where he really shined. You know, was what he could offer the show in terms of his stunt work and things like that. So, yeah, he should have been a Ranger. But hey, look, he was in a Japanese tokusatsu show. He was in Beat Fighter Kabuto. So that's pretty cool. You know, he was Beat Fighter Yama. So I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, he has, you know, he has his place in tokusatsu history, regardless of whether he was a Ranger or not. So, or Kuga and Zi-O. Kuga, man, I would love to see the actor for Kuga come back, but I think the reason why he's never come back is because I think he's kind of moved on from from Kamen Rider. I think that's why he's never reprised the role. But I heard rumors that I believe he was warming up to the idea of potentially returning back in a to reprise the role of Kuga. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Saban did he made the theme for She-Ra and the theme for He-Man. That is correct. He also made the theme for Mask and a couple other shows. We start making a theme for Gold and Silver Best Morpher Rangers again. Yeah, they could. A movie a decade will be a real hustle. Geo needs a writer that gives him a hard time, and yes, Decade's actor is coming back. Yep, yeah. See, no surprise there. Yeah, he seems to be on pretty good terms. So, I think the Beast Morphers theme is a cover song of Go Busters theme. It will be the first cover theme in Power Rangers, but Korea. Interesting. Wow. So they might actually be using. Huh. Okay. I'll be interested in hearing that. Decade's Ray Watch is going to be an epic as well. It allows access to super forms. Oh, all right. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing that then. Did a lifestyle suit right before. Yeah, he did. He also did. Funny thing about Dan Southworth, he actually auditioned for the role of Adam in Power Rangers. In Power Rangers, when they were doing the casting call for when the original actors were replaced, he actually auditioned for the role of Adam, and it got down to just him and Johnny was the one that ended up getting the role. But he still ended up doing suit work as the Black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger for the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger stage show. So the one that was like the traveling stage show that was going to that was like at Universal Studios, I believe, back in the day, and a couple other different places around California where they would do the live action stage show. Dan was actually doing the suit work for Mighty Morphin Black. So Saban made the music for the Ocean Studio dub of Dragon Ball Z. Yep, he sure did. That was him too. Yep. You have Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Yeah, I do actually. Hold on. It's right here. I haven't opened this one, but yeah, I have a deck. I have a couple of decks around there somewhere, but yeah, I have this 10 that I haven't even opened yet. But yeah. Just recently learned how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Not too long ago. The Dragon Ball music DVD, the Dragon Box music DVD. I see. The most likely actor to work with any legacy seasons are the most recent. Probably. Southworth also tried to audition for Chad Blue. Yep, they said that according to Dan, from what he told me, they said that he was too intense for the role of Chad in Lightspeed, to be the Blue Lightspeed Ranger, that he was way too intense for the role. That's why he ended up getting Eric in Power Rangers Time Force as a Quantum Ranger, because they felt that really suited him. Oh yeah, I don't disagree with you, Deca Master. Yeah, MMPR. Yeah, I would watch MMPR any day. Again, before watching Samurai. I know, but eventually I'm gonna have to watch all of Samurai. Once I get to Shinkenger and Henshin time. I mean, I'm probably gonna have to rewatch it again. So he tried out for Kai in Lost Galaxy and Chen in Lightspeed. Yeah, I know he tried out for a lot of the roles in previous seasons. Like I said, he had a pretty good relationship with them. They just didn't. The role that was right for him was the one he eventually got, which was the Quantum Ranger. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. What's my best card? I don't know yet because I have not built my first second. I've played like mostly online, so I haven't really gotten to build a good deck yet, but I will. Creed 2, yeah, I've heard good things about Creed 2. I definitely want to check it out. I like the first one, so if an anime PR show ever happens, it should follow the example of Voltron, Legend of Fair, and SSS Grid, man. I guess we'll have to wait and see if that ever happens. The fight scenes were good. Yeah, I gotta check it out because I liked the first movie. I thought the first one was very good. I enjoyed it. Has way too much fan service? Really? It's interesting because that's not something that, at least not that I know of, not with the original Gridman series. It obviously wasn't known for any fan service, and obviously Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad didn't have any kind of fan service. So, I mean, it was a show for kids here in America. So, and you've got Samurai. By the way, who's your favorite Kamen Rider? One Showa, one Heisei, and one Neo Heisei. Okay, so from Showa era, without a doubt, it's Kamen Rider. Although technically, one could say that was already well, was that already? No, that is still considered Showa. Yeah, so Kamen Rider Black is my favorite Showa era rider. As far as Heisei, Kamen Rider Kuga is my favorite Heisei era rider. Neo Heisei, I guess it would be Gaim. If Gaim is considered Neo Heisei, it would probably be Gaim. No, I like Black. I mean, Black RX. I mean, the suit. I admit that the suit is a little bit cooler for Black RX, but just Black. Black was such a great series. I love Black. Black is, the writing in it was good. To me, Black is one of those shows that if you're a Kamen Rider fan, that you have to watch it. To me, it withstands the test of time. I mean, obviously, you look at it. There's a lot of people that don't like seeing the old school tokusatsu shows because you could see all the flaws in them much more. They're much more obvious when you watch them. But the thing is, there's a charm to it. There's still a charm to it. I mean, it's something that you could still appreciate. The story is dark. I mean, it's a world that, I mean, you have Kotaro, who's this guy who's out for revenge, and he's always brooding. And, it has its lighthearted moments here and there, but at the end, it's always in the back of his mind what his mission is and what he has to do. And it's fantastic. The problem that I had with Black RX was that they really, really and the reason they did it was because they wanted to make a show that was a little bit more lighthearted, because Black was so dark. They wanted to make something that was a little less lighthearted, but the problem, it's a decent show. It's not great, but the biggest problem I had with it was just that, Kotaro did a complete switch from who he was. Not that I'm saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it just is not something that felt very organic. It was hard to imagine him as such a goofball after seeing him be so serious and Black. So, I've actually watched the Kamen Rider show that nobody cares about. Which one is that one? Finally, someone who gets why the show era was so cool. Yeah, Black is very good. Black is very good. V3 was good also. Some of those shows are pretty good. I think I watched the first 2 episodes of Amazon, and it was brutal. Yeah, Showa era, it's hard to watch. I can understand why some people wouldn't watch it or would want to watch it because of how, those, they're very old shows, but some of them, I mean, man, some of them are dark. Like, Japan don't play when it comes to doing dark stories and telling a much more serious story. And I think, but that's kind of the way that Shotaro Shinomori always meant it to be. He wanted to make dark shows that would scare kids. That was, I don't know if that was just something, if it was just his own twisted sense of humor, or if it was something that just, I don't know, maybe he just, he's a guy that just likes to see small children suffer. I don't know, but he definitely had that intention, though, when he made Kamen Rider. So I think for him, Black was definitely one of those shows that lived up to what he wanted Kamen Rider to be. And shows like, and things like Shin Kamen Rider Prologue, things like that, those are things that kind of live up to what I think he was going for with Kamen Rider. That would be awesome. Gavin and Black RX, they should team up. What's the best and worst in Lost Galaxy? The best and worst in Lost Galaxy? Best and worst episode, or I mean, I don't know what you mean. Kamen Rider Shin skip. Yeah, Kamen Rider Shin was yeah, it was Skullman. Skullman was his first creation, and really that's more or less what he intended Kamen Rider to be. I mean, that was the archetype for Kamen Rider. That's what he used as his basis to create Kamen Rider. So he just had to make something that was a little bit more viable for TV. So I mean, that's where he came up with the, you know, he changed things up with it to make it adaptable for a tokusatsu show. I just watch Power Rangers here and there. Hey, I don't blame you, Ram Jam. I don't blame you. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream here. Thank you guys so much for joining me here tonight. Huge thanks to Kamen Rider Deno for the super chat earlier. He's the stream daddy. He's the stream sugar daddy tonight. So he's got that title. Thank you so much for that. But be sure to be on the lookout on social media or here when I post the date for the next live stream. So you guys could come in and hang out. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. You all have a good night, and we'll see you on the next one.